The way I like to kind of phrase this when we have our family discussions on the history repeating itself is, if my grandfather or grandmother had a certain condition and my mom had that condition, yes, I may be likely to have it because I am living the same lifestyle because I grew up in the same household.
Yeah.
However, if I want to break that, I have to pivot and create a different lifestyle for myself and change my nutrition, change my way of living, my thoughts, heal my trauma, heal my, whatever it is that have been in the lineage, right? I totally agree. And I'm all about breaking the chain because I definitely don't think that we deserve to live in the same conditions as our, grandparents and parents did. And it's primarily because we want our next generations to be healthy. So now let's talk a little bit about importance of focusing on keeping our body at an optimal stage. So I know you talk a lot about gut health, immune health, and just keeping our overall nutrition intake appropriate. Can you give our listeners some tips on how to be more mindful when it comes to eating, drinking, and living?
Yeah, for sure.
So the mind, body, soul connection.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned a little bit ago about prevention, and to touch on that, if you know from your family history that there's different things you may be prone to, it's not a bad idea to have those things checked via testing once a year, once every 5 years, depending on how old you are. But I would say even more than that, the best healthcare for yourself now and in the future is preventative healthcare, which means go work with a holistic doctor that's going to help your body to become as healthy as possible today. Most people are worried about their health issues 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when they're not worried about their health issues now. Here's a really cool thing. If you're healthy now, you're automatically more likely to be healthy in the future. And so I tell people, focus on your health now and take it serious now so that in the future you don't have to worry about that so much.
Many people in the 20s think that they have a long life ahead to worry about health. But I'm like, okay, you're in your 20s. This is the best time to keep your health at optimal state, because if you're not, you're going to suffer in your 30s. And if you're going to repeat the same thing in your 30s, it's going to happen in the 40s, and it's just going to keep going.
Yeah.
So
your body is insanely resilient in your 20s. And a lot of people push it so hard that they still have health problems. The body can only adapt so much. And so if your nutrition is terrible every single day, if you're not moving very much every single day, if you're, again, just chronic issues that you're not fixing and addressing, your body will do its best to adapt and adjust. But if you're having issues in your 20s, I would say that, there's something there that's either been there a while as a root cause, or there's certain things that need improvement. That goes back to my story of, I have learned so much about how to eat and how to live and things like that. And I'm always learning every single day. But, I've had issues in the past, 5 years and things like that because of what I was eating. I knew a lot about nutrition, but I didn't know everything. And so I was actually eating some things that were actually bad for me. And I wasn't eating certain things that I needed to eat, or maybe I wasn't eating enough. Which is a huge problem in and of itself. And so I've continued to learn and continue to grow to try to address issues that have been there. So what does that look like? So I would say one of the cool things about health is there's so much that you can learn on the internet today that's absolutely free. You can listen to podcasts like yours. You can research different doctors. There's so many different holistic doctors online these days, and people that aren't holistic, they just know their stuff. They just know how to be healthy. And there's so many people that you can listen to and get thoughts on. And so I recommend following those people, listen to their videos, listen to their episodes and all that good stuff. What you're going to learn about and what you should be focusing on learning about is nutrition, how to eat, what foods to eat. What does that look like? I'm a big fan of a whole foods diet, where your food is generally going to need to be prepared rather than taken out of a box and warmed up. There's a lot of benefits to that people don't realize. When you are about to eat, the first thing that happens in your digestive system, the first thing that tells your body food is coming is actually breathing in the air of the food cooking and actually seeing it and hearing it. And so when that happens, your body automatically starts making enzymes to digest the food. And so when you go through the fast food line and you just get something really quick, you get about 3 seconds to smell that burrito before you eat it. You know what I mean? So the digestive enzymes are not being formed. So how well are you going to digest your food? Well, probably not super well. Of course, the ingredients are going to be pretty trash anyways. But whole foods diet, eating foods that have one single ingredient, a banana, is a banana, and things like that. I'm a big fan of 3 meals a day, with about 4 to 5 hours in between. That gives your body time to process the food. It gives your body time to do kind of a self-cleansing process. And that whole thing takes 2 hours and 2 hours, so at least 4. So roughly going 4 to 5 hours without food, only drink, is amazing for your gut, for digestion, and getting ready for the next meal. So because of that, I'm not a big fan of snacking. I tell people, if you're hungry after your meal or you get hungry before your next meal, it means you didn't eat enough protein or you didn't eat enough fats. And most people are not eating enough, especially protein. So that's huge.
It's all about how you plate it, right?
It's about how you plate it, absolutely. And so carbohydrates are good as well. Of course, we need those, but most of the time I'm telling people, focus on protein first with your meal. Decide what your protein source is going to be, consider fats, and then let carbs kind of be the last thing you think about. I usually recommend people get, for women, usually 100 grams of protein a day, and for guys, anywhere from 120 to 150 grams of protein a day. I usually will aim for myself for around 180 to 200 grams a day, but that's because I'm also usually working quite a bit. And then also...
And you're always on your feet.
Yeah.
You're always standing. You never sit.
Always standing. I never sit in the office. Yeah. Always standing. Yeah. And then, working out and things like too, having the physical stress on the body and the muscles. My body needs a lot of protein to handle the stress. And so, I usually will do that. So, what's crazy is most patients that I've had that have lost a lot of weight. I've had patients that, I may have shared this with you. I've had a patient that, actually 2 sisters, one of them lost 40 pounds. I think she went from maybe 200 to 160 or something like that. And then I had another one. She was, the other sister, she was 220. She lost 60 pounds. She went down to around 160. And I was looking at her note as we were talking, and I was just like, I look over at them and I'm like, have I ever mentioned the word exercise to either one of you? They both kind of look around, trying to think if I've ever done it, if I've ever said exercise or anything. And they're like, no. And they literally lost 40 pounds and 60 pounds just by changing how they eat. Wow. These people aren't running marathons. They're not running. I don't even think either of them run. I don't think they really work out. They might go on walks, but they just change their nutrition. And so what I've found is, in changing your nutrition and balancing your hormones, most people need to eat more, specifically more protein, and then just nutrient density.
Because of their lifestyle.
Yeah, because of lifestyle, and protein is just the number one thing that supports your body against cortisol. And so cortisol is the number one stress hormone. It's going to cause you to age faster. It's going to cause you to essentially die quicker. And so, you have so many people like our age, Dolika, that have gray hair and bags under their eyes and joint pains and all these different things. Aside from nutrition, obviously movement is super important. Most people don't move enough, and it doesn't even have to be a ton. Going on a walk for 30 minutes to an hour a day is amazing for you. Obviously, being outside is helpful as well with that. And then I always recommend, whatever you enjoy doing, you like playing sports, you like lifting weights, whatever, go do that. Enjoy it. Let movement be
whatever's mindful for you.
Yeah, whatever's mindful for you, whatever you enjoy, go and do those things. And so most people, they either don't move enough or they move way too much, which means they're running marathons, they're hitting, heavy workouts every single day. With those things, you can also run your system down pretty quick. It can also be too much for your body. So you kind of have to find the balance with things. So that's the chemical side of things. That's the physical side of things. Working on your body structurally can be very important. A lot of people recommend stretching. I'm not a huge fan of stretching. I don't think stretching really gets to the root of issues. I think using a massage ball roller and massaging your muscles and fascia is actually really quite more effective. And those things are $10. You get Amazon or Walmart or whatever. So those are some of the keys. Obviously, sleeping is super important. Having healthy relationships around you, having community, having love in your life, having purpose, all of those things are meant for us because it's how we were designed. One of the most interesting things in the scriptures, it says, God says it's more blessed to give than to receive. The Bible says that you're more blessed to give someone an hour of your time serving than to receive an extra hour in your day. You're more blessed. And so I think that one of the things that we can do when we talk about health is talk about, hey, this is how God designed us to live, to be selfless, to love other people. And all of those things ultimately are amazing blessings.
Yes. Oh my gosh, totally. And I agree with that 100% because this podcast is my way of giving back. I do so much research on who I want to bring, the kind of content I want to create. And when I'm going through this process, I just have all these happy hormones producing because I'm so excited to share them. And it is a sense of purpose for me because, in my life, I've had amazing people come into my life and introduce me to things that I never even knew existed. And because of that, I am who I am today. My eyes have been opened many times to things that are toxic, and I didn't even know that they were toxic. From eating organic food to being more mindful about the things I consume in terms of modern medicine, the drugs, the vaccinations, a lot of the things, even who to interact to. I think we also have to be very mindful of our personal space, right? We are social beings, but we also need to know that we need social rest. We need to take time out and just be in silence and be with ourselves. So I think all these lifestyle changes really do help and really help us become the better version of ourselves. So thank you so much, Dr. Joel, for going through that list. I think if everyone puts in 1% of effort every day into any of these areas, I think we can definitely work towards a better world, because at the end of the day, who we are does impact the other person that we come in contact with. And if we can be 1% better, I think the world is going to be a much happier and safer place.